Alrighty, welcome everyone. I'm Teeaboo. It is Thursday, and I am here for Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam, episode 41, Awakening. I have a theory about what that might mean, but I don't know. Last episode was the activation of grips, and I had a theory about what that might mean, and it turned out I was right. It's a giant space laser, and they used it to murder a bunch of people. Nice. all we need now is the hat trick of, destroy a couple of colonies, put a bunch of people into some kind of a prison of some kind, and then murder all of them, and then blame it on your enemies. And then you get the full hat trick of evil, self-justifying power hunger. Yay! So, Basque Ohm has stepped into a leadership role among the Tetons once more, actively, and within no time flat has murdered millions. Yay! Reccoa is there, watching helplessly, and even indicating her approval, as she must, given that she's now part of a corrupt and horrifying system. However, as soon as she is out of the line of sight of her superiors, she collapses, thinking, what the fuck am I doing? And should probably listen to that voice, but doesn't. Now she's stuck. We had multiple characters embracing in different and interesting ways, and we're going to hit and touch on a comment that I got, I think, from Angel James, but we'll see in a sec, on that front, because I thought it was an interesting comment, and it elucidated a little bit more of that space a little bit more clearly than I did previously. And Rosamia Badam is still amongst us, and she's a fungus. No, she is definitely among us, and is definitely an infiltrator, and is definitely very sus. Extremely. Let's see. What else is, Kamille and Fa almost kissed? I think. Kamille and Reccoa got to see each other and talk it out, and Kamille was left absolutely baffled, which is about how I feel with, like, 9 out of 10 interactions that I have with women. Sorry, I had to slip in some self-deprecating humor there somewhere, because what else am I going to laugh at? Millions of people just died. My drawing for the day indicates that I was definitely thinking about Zeta Gundam. It's my first attempt at trying to draw the weird geometries of the inside of a side, with the giant tube and the thing. Man, shit's hard. It's like, gosh, I go back and I look at the opening sequences showing the inside of the side and the outside of the side and this giant mass floating through space, and it seems trivial to draw such a thing, and it's not trivial at all. You don't know how things look at all. You don't know how you would draw them at all, or at least I don't, because I suck. So as I continue drawing things, I keep being shown in many ways how insufficient I am, and at present that has inspired me to draw more things, which is probably the best result, I think, is drawing more things and getting better at it. Because I'd like to be able to take what's in my mind and put it onto a piece of paper, and it's really tough to do that. Because in my mind, I can close my eyes and I can see Rama. I can see the giant McKinney cylinder, whatever the fuck they're called, O'Neill cylinder. I can see the giant cylinder, I can see it rotating in space, and I can see the lakes and the mountains and all the cities and the houses, and I can see them all stretching upward like halo up around the thing. And as soon as I try to put that shit on paper and draw out the perspective of it, it just falls apart. It just evaporates. It's like, it's gone. It's gone. As soon as I try to name it, it disappears. It's fucking hard. Stupid art thing. Why do we have to try to put things into 2 dimensions? Why? Well, because we want to be able to share them with other people, and we haven't figured out how to brain meld like Vulcans yet. Which is too bad, because that would save us a whole lot of time and maybe a lot of grief. Although it would also probably instantly lead to, like, the end of Evangelion, everyone becoming goop. And the borders between individuals, the AT fields that keep us apart and separate and individual, just disappearing. Which is exactly the idea that that's presented by Anno in Evangelion, is like, well, we're technologically moving toward a period of time where we'll be able to just meld minds with each other and share information freely, and that's a problem, because the lines between individuals will vanish, and we'll all become one giant collective blob together. Doesn't that sound great? And, well, his Sad boy protagonist says, no, actually, I'd like to be an individual. Wouldn't that be cool? Anyway, that's all in a world beyond Zeta Gundam, miles later and years post, extending on a lot of the same principles, but the principles of Zeta are more individualistic. You get inside a mecha, and there's one pilot in each mecha, generally, and the mecha does what you want it to do, and even maybe the mecha is something that's passed down to you from your father, or in the case of Kamille, was something that was passed down to you by your father, who then you reject, and then you build your own, because you want to generate your own mecha. However, it's just a Mark II of the previous version, and so it's still built on the foundation stones of your innate biology sort of thing. All right, okay, we're getting too deep into the weeds, aren't we? Comments. My internet has been painfully slow all day. Really, I would be doing more treasure hunting, but the time it is taking for me to download the shows that I would be treasure hunting is so long that instead I'm watching Zeta. I don't feel great today, and so I was gonna just sort of skip all the important things to do and end up treasure hunting, but now that I've got some tea in me and I feel a little bit better, and I don't have anything downloaded that I can treasure hunt, I'm falling back on doing Zeta. I don't feel great today. I'm quite tired from the gym, but I also pulled a ligament at the front of my pelvis that's like makes everything feel like it's off, and I hate it. I don't like the feeling of feeling like everything is off. It's like if you imagine yourself as a little consciousness inside the control room of a mecha, all the screens are flashing like something's weird. So something is wrong with the exhaust port on deck 3. Exhaust port on deck 3 leaking. It's like there's something not good in my body right now, and I'd like it to be fixed. I might end up just having my leg up here for portions of the video, so bear with me if I seem to be making weird grimaces or looks like I'm trying to put my intestines back. Then that's kind of what I'm trying to do. Okay, where's the episode that we were looking at? Angel James. So it was Angel James. Thank you for the comment. You saw parallels between the way Sirocco holds Reccoa and the way Kamille holds Fa. Kamille and Sirocco are quite similar. They're both strong new types who have romantic interest in multiple women. Almost every woman Kamille meets, he seems to have the hots for, and just last episode, Fa accuses Kamille of being a skirt chaser, and his only response is, so what? Sirocco, on the other hand, has already demonstrated being a creep to Sarah, Mauer, and now Reccoa. They both designed their own mobile suits, the Zeta for Kamille, the Masala, and the new Palace Athene for Sirocco, but we should also look at what makes them different. Kamille is a self-admitted skirt chaser, but as Reccoa tells him, he's too sincere. Kamille is an open book. He displays his emotions openly, while Sirocco is cold and manipulative, right? Kamille is just like, my manipulation of you is, I like you, do with that what you will. And Sirocco's manipulation is like, you're special. You're special. You mean something to me. And it's like, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? Does it mean, is he romantically interested in me, or does he talking about my values as a soldier? Just like rips apart the internal logic of the women around him. Kamille offers protection, while Sirocco offers new weapons and converts the women that he manipulates into weapons, because he wants multiple uses for everybody. With Reccoa, Sirocco invades her space and forces the embrace on her and tells her to be strong, and tells her that that's what she wants, actually. Because that's important. He embraces her, and she fights him away, and he goes, no, this is actually what you want. This is what you can't let yourself want. So you're lying to yourself. That's what's going on here. It's creepy, right? Slimy. Yeah. A parallel you missed was that Kamille also hugs Reccoa forcefully. He lays out his feelings to her openly and asks her to come back, but she refuses. Right, so he leaps at Reccoa, sort of, in that scene, because he's desperate to bring her back, and again is very straightforward in it, but it's not the way that Sirocco does. Sirocco invades that space and then uses that invasion of space and that forcefulness as an element of manipulation. Weird. When he hugs Fa, it is also slightly aggressive, but also gentle. He doesn't force any romantic actions between them, but it does feel like Fa wanted him to kiss her. Yeah, where does that come from? Because it's not explicit in the text at all, right? We don't jump into Fa's perspective and have her like stare at his lips and be like, oh, "Is this the time?" Like we don't do any of that. It's not there. It's not in the text. It just is subtext. It's not even subtext. It's just our imposition of the way that scenes like that have played out in our known past. It's fucking crazy that's possible, but interesting. Slightly aggressive, but also gentle. He doesn't force any romantic actions. Right there, it's the grab, and then they sort of are carried across by the 0G until they impact on the wall. It's soft. It's weird. It's weird. Why did we have to meet while we were both alive? If we meet as enemies, we will have to try to kill each other, says Kamille. The first person Kamille killed was Lila, Jared's mentor. Afterwards, Kamille rejected the idea of being a soldier in the Aeug. He hated the Tetons as much as they did, but he didn't want to kill anyone. He's told Emma numerous times that he didn't agree to become a soldier and refused to listen to orders for pilots to gather. And then Wong Li beat him unconscious and told him that if he wasn't a soldier for the Aeug, they'd throw him out of the airlock and into space. Kamille has come to terms with being a soldier and agrees with the Aeug that the Tetons need to be stopped, but still he hates that he has to kill people. He tells Sarah to leave the Titans or he will have to kill her. She chose Sirocco. And now Reccoa, a person who acted like a mother to him, who he had a small crush on, who he cares deeply about, when he sees her alive he goes in for that hug, has done this. He's sad and angry that he's going to have to kill her, and he doesn't want to, because he doesn't want to kill anyone. But as Emma Sheen reminds him, good soldiers follow orders. If someone betrays your side, just kill them. Who cares if you knew them? They're just another enemy now. A machine, indeed. How can one person stop this? No matter how much he hates killing and being a soldier, he can't stop the Tetons alone. So, for now, he'll put up with the things he doesn't like about the Aeug and try to make a better world than the one he had. The Tetons weren't even... separately. That's some fucked up shit. The Tetons weren't even aiming for that colony. They were trying to hit the Argama, but Bask Ohm doesn't care about how many colonies he destroys. They're not even people to him. They're just space noids. And so there's an argument to be made that's like, well, just stop fighting them, and they'll stop blowing up colonies. And then Tyranny wins. And we find out what happens when you're under a tyrannical system top to bottom. And it gets worse and worse. So Kamille fights against, his nature is kindness, and his nature is this desire to not cause harm, if possible. He's a very love-filled character in a lot of ways. And he resents where what he's been forced to become. But then at the same time, as he's stepped into the role and become it more, we've seen this mutualistic respect and this growth of, he's being treated like an adult, like a responsible individual by those around him, insofar as he takes up the mantle of a willing soldier. We see it in his obedience in so many words with Char, and what I talked about so many times in those scenes where we see him and Char on the same page, listening to each other, speaking to each other, thinking about each other's words effectively, and then acting. And acting in unison and acting toward a goal that they can both agree on. So, it's as if the simplistic morality of, well, I'd want to keep my hands clean, is being presented to us as a childish thing. One of those childish things that must be put away in order for the man to emerge, maybe. Something like that. And then perhaps another childish thing would be some of the childish ways in which Kamille approaches the women that he meets. And that's an echo of Amuro, because Amuro too was infatuated repeatedly with women who either he had no chance with or were just far too far away and too different from him, or much older than him. Cruelty on one side seems to force cruelty on the other. Nobody wants to go to war, says the show. But once war has begun, you have to pick a side. Otherwise, sides just get blown up, and you might be on them. And so might everyone you care about. So, what a pleasant place we start in this show, having accidentally, with the wave of a hand and oh but little care, Bascom has accidentally murdered up to 5 million people. Thank you, Cello, for stating a single side can carry up to 5 million people. Nice. So we start off in a lovely place, and we title our next episode Awakening. Now, this could be, like, people waking up to the fact that the Titans are a problem. I think, more likely, this would be Rosamia Badam awakening and being there are three flowers in a vase. The third flower is yellow and blah, Terminator 2 style, just becomes a monster. Or it could have nothing to do with either of those, and I don't know, maybe a hero of the past war is in cryosleep and they're gonna find him and awaken him. I think we're just gonna have to watch the episode and find out. So, I've got episode 41 of Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam up and ready to go. We're going to give it a watch. I'm going to have my pencil at the ready for note-taking purposes, because I feel like some interesting things might go down in this episode. I'm particularly interested in how the Titans respond to this action. Reccoa in particular, but also Ohm and those around him. Quite interested in that, because it's like, well, this is a great tragedy and insane. You blew up a side. Tons of people are gonna die. Civilians. How do you spin that? It was a base of insurgents. It was for the cause. Necessary casualties of war. How do you spin that shit? I don't know. Well, you can look at the modern day and draw some conclusions. As nations bomb each other or shell cities with artillery, demolish homes and apartment complexes and buildings filled with civilians. Often they'll simply say, well, they were bad guys. We know that there were terrorists there. They have weapons of mass destruction, for example, or they're Nazis, for example, or it's part of the Grand March of the Motherland, for example, or whatever you want to call it. You can justify horrifying things in any number of ways, and all you have to do is win the eventual war and then rewrite the history books to claim that those claims were true. So what does Bascom plan to do with the destruction that he's caused? Maybe nothing. Maybe he just doesn't care. Maybe it's just so small to him. I don't know. Let's watch episode 41. 2 versions, PiP in the descript, beep beep timer. Got this continuous problem with this pair of headphones. The cable just continuously falls out. I like the fit of them, so I'll replace them once with the same idea, the same style. But if those have a problem like this too, then I will give up on the KZZSNs. Ah, everything's calm and fine. Good. Good. Nothing wrong here at all. Oh, we're reusing that shot. I think we saw that like 20 episodes ago. That's about right. Oh, they're finally gonna give her Thunk, I'm feeling fine about this. No. What the fuck are you talking about? I'm a doctor. Well. Wow, his mouth looks weird. As soon as he's being held by another woman, into it. Honk. Really depends on you. Alright, Rosamia. She submits to the checkup. Very good. Yep, just like a child. Ha! Fa. Uh-huh. Oh, that's very cute. Like, you skirt chaser, Kamille. You haven't succeeded. I'm sorry, what operation? Dude, you can have her gas a planet? Wow. You're gonna have her gas a full colony. Wow! Leadership. Yeah, you shouldn't. Bruh. Necessary for the furtherance of our cause. Yeah, ow! Hey, maybe I'm in the wrong place. Maybe this is the wrong place. Maybe I shouldn't carry out these orders to murder millions. We really are going for the hat trick. We're gonna gas a colony, we blew up a side. Fucking hell. It might not be fine. She might be a cyber new type, and Hassan might be able to find that out. Just because she's good doesn't mean she's on our side. Of course he will. This is really what we're gonna do. And Reccoa's gonna do it. Why? Isn't this it's just such an obvious, like, oh, that's a thing that only the bad guys would do. Are we the baddies? Like, why do we have the skulls on our hats? Why skulls? Oh, what the? such a little kid. Chotto. Yep, I gotta get into the mecha. Yeah, please. You're making us all uncomfortable, Rosamia. What is this? What is this resentment that you've got now, Rosamia? Oh, it's the it's the wired in stuff. Interesting. However, hmm. New types down to the genes. See, that actually reveals something interesting about what new types might be. That there's a change on the genetic level. Is that why? Like, oh. Well. Ah, almost wishes. Almost wishes that it wouldn't happen. But won't sabotage it herself. There's something I must do, says Rosamia. Whoa. She's gonna steal a fucking suit. What's the trigger, man? Dude, she's gonna get... Yeah, just show me where they are, man. Oh, thanks, Coom. Oh, thanks, Shinta. Yeah. Soda ne? Whee! Oh. What'd he find out? Drugs! So we're delaying multiple aspects of launches of multiple people. Holy shit, are they gonna steal the Hyakushiki? Who's piloting the Methos? He's got a big gun. Yeah. Brum, brum. Wow, it's 3G. Isn't that the same gas that they used before on, like, Colony 30 or whatever? Haven't we shown that twice? Wasn't Reccoa there for one of those? She really doesn't want it to complete. She's gonna blame them for their failure to stop her. Oh. They've got normal suits on the kids, too. Hmm. God, you little kids. You gotta stop. You gotta stop. Ah. That's what it is, huh? Mission compris. Hey, what the fuck? Hey, wait, what the fuck? Hey? Well. Yes, but my programming can take over. Whoa! Just gonna hotwire this fucking Gundam. It's a what? A giant humanoid robot. Totally a simple machine. What? Oh, fuck! But I have to go save my brother. Okay, that's cool. Oh, yeah. She's learning. Oh, that is a weird takeoff. That was really cool. That was a weird hasty takeoff too. That was really cool. I like that. Totally different voice. Cyber new type mode activated. Ah. Kyoka Ningen indeed. Racked by guilt. Just give the order. You're stuck now. Give the order. I mean, you're just a cog in a machine, but you gave the order. These deaths are on your head, Reccoa. Yeah, feel that. Oh, that's Kamille feeling that. Like a million people crying out? Oh, yeah. Is that Fa? Ooh. Dangar! Dangar! So that just outgasses the whole colony, right? Oh, that was cool. And she's pissed at them for it. for failing to stop her. You know who that is. Oh my god. Kamille is angry now. Wow, she's really leaning in. Hit him with the full boya. Yeah? No, God, not now. Okay, Rosamia. Yeah, not the fun time to play, girl. Wee, pew pew, haha. Oh. No. Quite the opposite. Believe it. Can we save any of these people? And now we have a face-off between... Well, yours did, right? Yeah, it's the poison. That's not Shinto or Kumu. Yeah, we gotta go. Rage. We're just gonna leave her here? Oh, yes it is. Yeah, this is like... blood to soothe his anger. It's pure frustration, yeah. Oh. Oh. Yes, you are. Yes, they are. Uh, yeah, I know. That's why I gotta shoot her. She's a cyber new type. Yeah, but she's a cyber... So it's a different betrayal. Who's calling out to her? Why would you think that? Fuck. Some of the most emotional moments we've seen from Kamille in a while. Yeah, it is Fa. Yeah, but left and taken a chunk of your crew's souls with her. She's left this in her wake. It's almost worse than if she had actually succeeded. Oh, more tragedy? Really? Oh, good. Yeah, good. All the colors in the ED are different. People have mentioned it a couple of times. It's cool. Man, what a whirlwind of weird. Reccoa, I think the most fascinating thing in this episode to me is Reccoa wishing that the Argama's crew would be competent enough to stop her. That's really how I read that. And weirdly, it's almost like that justifies her actions. She can blame it on them. All right. Yeah, Reccoa's desire for the crew of the Argama to show up and stop her at every point as she moves forward to complete her mission, which she knows is wrong and feels is wrong and acts like is wrong, but does anyway, is really fascinating to me. And then this resentful desire that bubbles up within her, or this resentful feeling that's like, that like blames the deaths on them. It's not her fault for pulling the trigger, it's their fault for not being there to stop her in time. It's like movie bad guy morality. Truly fascinating villain morality. I don't... From whence comes that? I don't know. There's a lot of characters saying the exact opposite of what they actually think in this episode. We get it from Kamille here. Like this is a meme. This is purely meme worthy. Is just bonk, head on wall, face in shadow. Oh, I'm not feeling down about it at all. Bullshit, dog. Bullshit. Characters acting against their best interests for weird reasons. Really interesting. Rosami's continued childishness is fascinating. Fa's resentment of it, and especially of the beautiful woman who's now clinging to her Kamille, is deeply interesting. The kids push it and push it and push it. And here, you've done a couple of things, but it's not like you've actually destroyed your former allies, so I don't trust you. So lead this critical, murderous operation. And it's like, why? What is this operation even for? What's the point of it? Well, it's to test your loyalty more than anything, really. And why must I release poison gas into a colony in the first place? And why must it be me? Boom. Because I said so. Your personal feelings don't enter into it. This operation is extremely important. In order to suppress any defiance by the AU, we have to show them what defiance gets them. That's what it is for. That's what it'll do. To make an example. To make an example. Hey, you know what doesn't work? When the opposition to you believes that you're a murderous tyrant, and you murder a bunch of people like a tyrant. It's sort of, shores up their arguments against you a little bit. It's like, hey, so those Tetons, they murder a bunch of people and they're really bad. And you go, the way to suppress this sentiment is to murder a bunch of people and be really bad. Yeah. That'll scare them into submission. But it's the thing, it's what dictators and tyrannical regimes have done for forever, too. It's really quite... It's astonishing. It's right on, I think. I've just embarked on the journey of beginning to read Alexander Solzhenitsyn's Gulag Archipelago, an account of the socio-political changes that shift and occur in the Russian Revolution of the 19 teens and onward. I'm not far enough in it to start to see the broader pictures of it, but there are elements of this kind of thinking already present. Of, well, the answer to the people slipping out the edges as you squeeze deeper, the goop slips out the edges of your fist, right? You can't hold on to power with an iron grip. It doesn't work. But the answer is always to smash harder and thin out the opposition more, to suppress any defiance. Suppression and repression, huh? Doesn't work. Doesn't work. But it's exactly what people at all levels do. You got a kid who's rebelling. Well, the kid is probably rebelling because you're acting like a tyrant. And kids rebel against the tyranny of their parents. So you ground them and put further restrictions on them and act more tyrannical and take away the things that they care about and act crueler and more brutal. And prevent them from seeing their friends and prevent them from going outside. And you wonder a couple of years down the line why your kid fucking hates you. It's like, what did I do? All I did was be more tyrannical, oppressive, repressive, and destructive to you, and take away from you any incentive for you to have a well-intentioned relationship. It's like, well, I wonder who caused that. Was it the child or was it the parent? But people do exactly this. They try to grip tighter. And it can work. If you can get everybody everywhere scared enough of you, it can work. But there are so many people in so many places, and so many of them already don't like you, and will see this as evidence of exactly what Char was talking about when he got up at Dakar and talked about the tyranny of the Tetons, and Bask is just leaning in, man. He's just leaning in and threatening further, threatening her with the punishments that spies receive. Do as I say. And then he ends it with, we are not a group of killers. Don't forget that we are wishing for peace to arrive as soon as possible. So with one hand, he beats her across the face and orders her to kill millions of innocents. And with the other, he says, but this is the path toward eventual reconciliation and the fastest peace. Don't you get it? This is just a small sacrifice. It's a small sacrifice to lead to eventual peace. It's a weird psychological game that he's playing too. You know, we talked about Sirocco playing some weird manipulative psychological games, but as blunt and straightforward as Bask is, he'll punch you across the face, he'll order you to kill millions in a way that Sirocco wouldn't. He's playing a manipulative game too. It's a weird push-pull. In fucking tense. She says, wishing for peace, does Sirocco need to test me this way? And I wonder if that means, does Sirocco need to test me by putting me in the hands of Bascom and seeing if I'll follow his orders? Or would Sirocco need to test me in the way that Bask is currently testing me? I don't know what she means there. Just because she's a good girl doesn't mean she's on our side. Indeed, and more than that, doesn't mean that she's a good girl. Basque will be commanding personally. Prove your loyalty, and off we go. Set up the standby in the situation. I'll skip a bit. Get some weird thoughts around Rosamia. Everything seems okay, but she seems just normal, but yeah, maybe not. And they get tagged by the laser grid. And Rosamia begins to awaken. But she's torn. She's like, I promised that I'd stay and wait here. And Shinta and Kum almost egg her into it, which is just bad. Yep, there's something weird about Rosamia. There are doping drugs in her system. And so we line something up about cyber new types that's interesting. If they were attempting to make a cyber new type, there'd be evidence at the genetic level, and there might be evidence at a cellular or bloodstream drug level. Which it is, I mean, I don't know, but that tells us a little bit of something about what it means to be a new type, I think, or what it means to be a cyber new type, at least, is that there's been alteration done at the genetic level, and that's interesting. I don't know, I don't understand the lovely but line, I just don't get it, and she's still very childish and happy as she heads out into battle, but she's not going into battle, she's not going into battle. She's going to go say hi to her brother, right? It's weird. And she does move like a cyber new type, as though she can predict his shots. We see that Char aims directly for the leg of her mecha, trying not to kill her. And we crush Reccoa down into the corner here. And she makes some feeble stands. Are all the colony defenses wiped out? As though she's hoping that they aren't. Are the Argamas forces here? As though she's hoping that they are. We're releasing gas into the colony. We see fear, real fear in her eyes. Ensign, give the order. And she sort of, okay, doesn't really give the order. She just allows what's moving to happen. It's like the responsibility of the one who lets it pass under them. Because, well, I think Ensign Reccoa here has a moral responsibility to halt this mission by hook or by crook by any means necessary. Whichever side she's on, whatever she thinks is morally justifiable, I think we're quite clear, given circumstances earlier in the series, that this is not it. Whether she thinks she's spying for the Argama, or whether she thinks she's really loyal to Sirocco and the Tetons, and potentially even to Bascom, this is not it. This is the point of choice. And she chooses not to choose, and in doing so condemns millions to their deaths. By her own hands. She just lets it go under her, allows the evil to propagate. But she's not just a bystander, she's an active and complicit. She takes part. She causes this. And so we get this flood of faces screaming out in terror, and Kamille feels it deep inside himself. We get real over-the-top emotional as we move through. Very unpleasant feeling. And Fa feels something too. Bring it in. I really like this moment of Kamille floating over the thing. It's cool that we were able to produce the feeling of momentum here just by moving the bottom background across. And as he zooms, Dangar! I hope I made it in time, but of course he didn't. I also really liked this cut. Is this the one? No. 1425. Hold on. What was I looking at 1425? What was the cut that was there? Oh, it was the takeoff. It was the Nemo taking off and being kind of haphazard about it. Yeah. It sort of floats there for whoosh, 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 whoosh. Very cool. And then the Hyakushiku leaps out and then engages thrusters. It's a very different takeoff than any of the like guide wire takeoffs that we normally see. So that's cool. Okay. Further along toward 16 minutes. Blam blam. And then there's this cool cut, which again is things moving in space in an interesting way. I hope I made it in time. Pew, pew, pew. And then it floats back into frame. This use of the camera tracking and then mobile suits moving out of frame and into frame as though they're moving faster than the camera can keep up is very fun and I think adds a lot. Reccoa sits there, very high fidelity. The light show across her face. And she says, "It's too late, you guys. We're here too late." And again, this is that feeling like she blames them for it. We get some real anger from Kamille here, because betrayal has really occurred now. She gets bonked in the back of the head by a random hijack as he's focused on Reccoa. Gets thwonked on the back of the head, and he absolutely obliterates this guy. Just unsurreptitiously chops it in half. Just, fuck out of my way. I got a conversation to have. How could you be part of this? You will never understand, child. And if you're this slow to react, you'll never defeat Sirocco. That's really cool looking. The frame where she takes the beam saber out, that's really cool. And I'll never forgive you. Well, you won't have to because you'll be dead. Child. All this condescension. Dark lines across Camille's body makes him an emotional anchor. Just because you're an adult, lame excuses. And then Rosamia is here, interrupting, taking down hijacks accidentally. Oh, great teamwork. And then we get the face-to-face that was meant to be Quattro and Reccoa, and he can't shoot her. He's hesitating. And on the one side, Kamille refuses to believe the truth that Rosamia could be his enemy. And on the other, Quattro fires at what used to be a friend and could have been a lover. And she hits him with, she calls him condescending, having just condescended to Kamille in a dozen ways. You always insist on looking down on everyone. So is that why? In that case, I'll end your troubles. And she says, don't think for a moment that the world revolves around you when it is. It's like precisely that. It's that it does. Hers did, kind of. His actions could have prevented this. Weirdly. Because she wouldn't have left. I think. As she says, if you had given me a reason to stay. So, man, Reccoa is just torn up. I feel really bad for her, but at the same time, now she's done unforgivable things. She's taken, it hurts to be spurned. It hurts to be turned away and rejected. And that's sort of how Reccoa feels. And so I feel for that. But you take that rejection and that being spurned and you turn it into resentment and allow yourself to be gripped by it. You allow it to run you. And then you act on that and you cause harm the way that she has. It ceases to be possible to forgive her, I think. So Kamille trying to protect Rosamia by leaving her here, but I'm not sure. They're just blowing up chunks of the city. And Kamille again goes into a rage-filled murder fest, like he's just killing people. And it's cathartic. It's deeply cathartic. He's blowing up these mechas and blasting them into all over the place. And that's what triggers Rosamia. The sky is falling. So again, really cathartic, but we're like very close to each of these deaths. Or the destruction of these mechas. We don't see the people inside them, but Camille's acting on emotion. He's not acting as a soldier, and he's not acting as a righteous individual. How could you kill people so easily, he says, as he relatively easily kills these individuals. It's not the same in terms of scale, but it reflects. It's like a mirror a little bit. It generates so much emotion in him that you deserve to die! Die! And is pretty brutal physically in the way that he accomplishes it. And is left gasping and small. He feels small here. It's the opposite of the scene where he's dark-lined and big in frame and focused and evocative. Here he's small, like drained. Like, it's all come out of him. And Rosamia's programming really picks in. The Zeta Gundam will bring down the skies. You're the enemy. And I am Lieutenant Rosamia Badam, and she awakens entirely. I guess forever. Blam, wham, boom. Chases after. But that's Rosamia, but it's her. She's a cyber new type, but it's Rosamia. Quattro can't shoot down Reccoa. She says that she's the one destined to defeat him, and then is ordered to join Lieutenant Rosamia and return to the ship. And Kamille is stopped by a machine, and for the first time in a while, lets his emotions run wild. Yeah, he seems to be feeling fine. And Fa's pretty happy that she's gone. Didn't like her from the start. And feels her instincts are justified by the eventuality that Rosamia is the enemy. Ooh, not how I expected any of that to play out. Reccoa's gone way over the edge of forgiveness. Way into the realm of pure enemy. Like, enemy of humanity type enemy. Like, wow, war crimes, man. Man, don't do a war crime just because you got dumped. The boy you like doesn't like you, see, you go to the other side and do a war crime, Reccoa? A war crime, really? The poison gas one? That one? We've experienced this. You've seen the aftermath of it. Damn. So betrayals all around. Who are your friends? Who are your enemies? Why does any of this shit matter? Or is it all just a power game between Sirocco and Bascom? Some fucking bullshit that we're all just caught up in. Well, that was a fun, depressing episode of Zeta Gundam. Everything's bad, and millions of people died, and nobody could stop it. And Reccoa gets to blame you for not having stopped it. Great. I love it when characters whose presence in the show that I enjoy become monsters. Not just through circumstance, but through their own tiny, monstrous decisions. Their willingness to go along with monstrous acts by those who hold power over them. Their unwillingness to step out of line and experience potential threats to self. Following their hearts. Why, Reccoa? You know, Char says, at this point I won't even ask why, but I wish he would. Because I'd like to know. I'd like to understand better what's going on inside Reccoa. But at a certain point, I guess if it leads to something like this, then I don't need to know. If your ideology leads you to take part in the deaths of millions of civilians, then there's something wrong with that ideology, regardless of how rationally structured or emotionally resonant it might seem. If it leads you down the path of there's a list. It's like torturing people, imprisoning civilians, murdering people, killing large swaths of innocents. Anything in that realm, then there's something fundamentally wrong with your starting point. You can't You can't justify those actions. Except in the most brutal utilitarian sense. Which is to, if you can do the calculus and say that those deaths will cause less deaths, then you got an argument, but I don't think it holds up. So we're back in the space of talking about the bomb. The bomb. The bombs. Fat man and little boy. You know, is that justified? Hard to say. Is this justified? To teach them a lesson? To show what happens when you go against the Tetons? Yeah, I think not. Well, that's 2 mass murders in 2 episodes. And the narrator stopped the episode by saying, and the tragedy's just gonna continue, so maybe we'll have a 3rd colony go under in a uniquely creative way. But we'll have to wait till next episode to find out. Thanks for watching this episode of Zeta Gundam, and my meandering wonder at the capacity of humans to cause harm to each other. See you next week. Peace.